from the air as you were coming in?
Well, there were little in this C-47. You can see there are little windows, and if you looked out, you could see some no bodies. They took them up just as soon as they could. You know, they brought them up, and we saw gliders went over the D-Day. The C-47s, the 315th, brought the gliders over, dropped them, and some of those gliders' wings were broken off. There were ships that you could see that didn't quite make the shore. And debris was all over, you know, from the wood, from anything that exploded in the water. But I never saw a body. And all the time, they picked them up as soon as they knew that they were dead. Even if they didn't, they brought them up to up on the hill. And that was what happened the first couple of times we went on that mat, you know, that waffle, the metal waffle, and then they built a more permanent landing field above that, and that's where we had a little bit more traction and a little more possibility, you know, that we could at least shut the propellers down. We didn't have to keep them running all the time. But
how many days were you evacuating D-Day wounded?
We have, I'm going to give Dr. McIntosh, I got a story from one of the girls that she wrote, and we went over 2 or 3 times a day. And sometimes we went over, we started at 5 o'clock in the morning. And it was just a 24-mile trip across the English Channel, but we had to go in fighter pilot, you know, fighter escort. Mm-hmm. So you had to wait for them to form, and we went on the beach there. And if you went late, you couldn't take off. And there were times when you'd see planes above, you know, that we call dogfights, and it was getting dark. And those pilots were so brave that they were never involved in war, and their compasses were not the way they are today, you know. And so they, at times, they wanted to stay on the field. And when you did stay on the field overnight, you were lucky enough to get in an airplane, in an ambulance. That was great, because you slept in an ambulance. But then some of the girls slept in a plane. And if you know a plane, when it landed, the nose is up, and they kept rolling down all night long in that center metal strip, you know, in the middle of the plane. And but I had the first experience, not me alone, but I was one of them that had the first experience sleeping in a foxhole. And this Lieutenant Campbell from Liverpool, and I've said that so many times that I think maybe somebody in this United States will know Lieutenant Campbell from Liverpool. You know, like he's the only Campbell in Liverpool, and Liverpool is just a little Huddleston town. But he said, you can sleep in my foxhole. And I had never slept in a foxhole, so he showed me this big board, wooden board. And he said, all you have to do is to take your jacket off and your shoes off, you know, and just slide this over your head, this wooden thing. And you'll be okay, you know, from all debris, if there is some. And I went in there, and I didn't take anything off. I took my hat off, but I left my shoes on, and I got my body under that little piece of wood. I was under there completely. And I couldn't sleep. The ground is shaking, and the noise, you know, from the shells exploding. And the next morning he came to wake me up, and I was not sleeping, and I got out of there, and he gave me this little canvas wash basin, and I said, I don't want to wash my face. I want to get out of here.